Forsaken is back. The Roblox survival game has returned with a new ARG that tells us more about the mysterious entity pulling the strings of this hellish nightmare, how they capture and manipulate their victims, and how there may finally be a way to end the cycle of torture. Hello Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show that has finally escaped its eternal torture. Or at least one of them. There is still a toy factory that continues to go deeper with no signs of stopping, but after a year, Forsaken is back, and it has a whole new ARG that I can sink my teeth into. Because it's been a year since our first episode on the series, for those of you who missed it, Forsaken is a multiplayer survival game on Roblox, where you play as characters from the Roblox Hall of Fame, such as rumored hackers like 1x1x1x1, one of the first accounts made for Roblox like John Doe, and iconic Roblox characters like Elliot. Even the Roblox founders and devs are in this game, like Builderman and Shadletsky. But beneath this Dead by Daylight style game, there is a dark story being told. A story of an entity who is trapping people in this world, forcing them to die over and over again. In our last episode, we looked at the first ARG and learned that the entity is called the Spectre. And through other games' descriptions, ciphers, and secret passages, we heard the stories of people who fell victim to the Spectre, torturing them over and over again in this nightmare. Unfortunately, the ARG ended with a note just saying, "Come back soon." And, well, it's been a bit longer than soon. So, just like the survivors of Forsaken, I too felt like I was trapped in a never-ending cycle of torture, constantly checking if the ARG had developed. And just when I was about to give up, a new ARG arrived, along with new characters and game updates, all of which tell us more about this mysterious Spectre, how they bring people into this world, and who they target. What at first looked like creepy Roblox nostalgia has evolved into a sophisticated horror mystery, and it goes back to the very beginning of Roblox itself. Join me, loyal theorists, and try not to get killed along the way as we go deeper into the lore of Forsaken. And if you're a fan of puzzle solving, then you'll love our recent merch drop celebrating our 15-year anniversary. We've got this awesome arcade-inspired poster that will brighten up any gamer cave you have. It's also covered with references and secrets reflecting the amazing 15-year journey we've had on the channel. Let me know what you find. I've yet to see anyone actually figure out everything. But then there's also our GT hoodie, made of our standard heavy-weighted material, which makes it feel like a weighted blanket as you sit there rocking back and forth trying to write theories, or just hanging out. But just like the poster, it is also full of secrets. There's a hidden message under the hood and Morse code on the sleeve. Get it, translate it, and then when all your friends ask what it says, you'll look like the smartest gamer there is. But be quick, stocks are running super low on the hoodies, and once they're gone, they're gone. So head on down to the description or scan the QR code on screen to get your hands on them and join us in celebrating 15 years. Thank you all so much for your constant support, but let's dive into Forsaken and see what's going on. When I first logged in, I did what I always do, check if anything had changed. There were some new furnishings in the main cabin, which I guess is nice that these victims are making themselves at home, but the biggest change was directly outside the cabin. There is a letter beside the bulletin board that reads, "Hey Sixer, it's been a while. I have no idea if this will get to you, but hopefully it does. Can we somehow meet again? I regret so many things, and recent events have made me realize some things about myself." And the text after that is blocked out, but you can make out the words, "I must be the reason why you disappeared. I was the one who hurt you." This is obviously here to get our attention. There's clearly a story going on, and so I was in. I wanted to begin looking for answers about who wrote the letter, and the way you get those answers isn't actually by looking at what's written on the letter, but looking at the image of the letter itself. On the image of the letter, it says 789149606 Visioneer. We've done enough Roblox ARGs to know that this string of numbers is a Roblox username. So I put that number into Roblox's homepage, and sure enough, I found a user called Newbie, or I must be the reason why. The username that was written on the letter with the underscore and everything. So we're definitely in the right place, which means now we need to look around Newbie's account page and see if we can find anything to use. The description says, "I miss you," clearly talking about the person in the letter named Sixer. Other than that, there wasn't much going on with this account other than the fact they had created a game called A Nightmare. So naturally I was going to play it, but before I did, I noticed the game's description. It says, "Of me and Sixer," which feels like a continuation of the title, A Nightmare of Me and Sixer. We have no idea who Newbie or Sixer are in Forsaken or Roblox as a whole, but playing this game may give us a better idea of who they are and how they fit into the lore of this survival game. The game starts with you in a dark, abandoned house. As you walk through, you find a knocked over fridge which says says, what is its name? As you keep exploring, text appears on the bottom of the screen. I didn't want to upset my friends, so I came along. I never wanted to be here. I was terrified. I saw something. No, someone who looked like you. As you reach the top of the stairs, there is a bright red room with a Roblox character standing there. As you approach, a spooky face appears on the avatar and charges at you. The screen goes black and text says, I heard you calling me, but something else took me. And then you are booted out of the game with an error message, a random jumble of letters, which, to a theorist, is clearly a cipher. Earlier, the letter that led us to this game didn't just have a Roblox ID on it. It also had the word Verhagen. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that's the cipher we should be using. But it's not that simple because a Verhagen cipher needs a key to decode it. And the only other clue we have so far is the text on the fridge. What is its name? The last message before being kicked out says, something else took me. From what we know about the Forsaken lore, this sounds like the Spectre taking another victim, and by using the Spectre as our key, the Verhagen cipher unlocks. The code now reads, it is too early to tell their story, don't you think? I'll be waiting for you when their heart is revealed. The fact that Spectre was the key implies that we're on the right track, that whatever took this person telling the story was the Spectre. But the other interesting part is that this person says they saw someone who looked like you, which in this case would be Sixer. Looks like the Spectre is playing tricks to lure people into Forsaken. If we just knew a little more about these people, get a few more pieces of the puzzle, we might be able to have a clearer picture on what the Spectre's master plan is. Fortunately, because I'm a little late to the party, I don't have to wait like the code implies. In August, Forsaken received another new update, and now when you play a nightmare, you get a new kickout message. This time, Spectre didn't work as the key, and so far in this ARG, the only other name we have is Sixer, the person who the letter was addressed to. Well, if you use Sixer as the key, it reveals the message 898-522-569-848. I did the usual and just figured these numbers were a Roblox user ID, but nothing came of it. It turns out this is not a user ID, but a Roblox game ID. The game is called A Realization, with the description reading of me and Noob. This is the opposite of the last game we played, which was of me and Sixer. This game must be from Sixer's perspective, and the other person in question, the person sending the letter to Sixer, is Noob. And those of you who have played Forsaken will recognize that name. Noob is one of the survivors in Forsaken, so we are starting to learn a little bit more about the actual survivors of the game. In the first ARG it was Elliot, and now it's Noob. Playing this game transports you to a place where the red text at the top reads, open your heart, leave them behind, like they have to you. And in front of you is a Roblox avatar that looks a lot like Noob's avatar. If you touch them, an error message appears. Why do you falter? Can you not reach your own heart? Sounds like opening our heart involves not going near Noob, just leave them behind, like the text said. If you turn around, you can see something in the distance. To get to it, you need to navigate the maze. As you do, text at the bottom appears, similar to Noob's game. It was the only way I could stand beside you. I couldn't help myself. I wanted to make you proud, and yet you turned your back on me, left me to rot in misery, like I never meant anything. Sixer was left behind and rejected, or at least that's how they felt, because we know from Noob's story that they were taken by the Spectre and disappeared. Sixer just assumed they got ghosted, leading Sixer to go another way through this maze. As you exit the maze, there is a heart pumping with tendrils around it. As you approach, the text says, open your heart to it. If you interact, the screen goes black and red text appears once again. Thank you. Their loathing, these emotions, it's so fascinating. She will make a fine addition. Sixer and Noob, you fuel their suffering. You add more to my ship. And then your username is displayed. This person is talking directly to us. After that, the game kicks you out with another error message. And in case you weren't sure it was an error, it says error a lot. But if you remove the errors and use Sixer as the key to a Verhagen cipher, you get the message, I cannot feel my body. Why is this happening? Why did you leave me behind, Noob? My immediate thoughts are that the red text we are reading is the Spectre. They talk about how they find these people suffering fascinating, like how it puts people through the Forsaken game to watch their anguish. And adding more to the ship is adding more characters to Forsaken, more characters that it can observe and torture. If that's the case, then the red text at the start of the game telling Sixer to leave Noob behind and open their heart was the Spectre inviting Sixer to open themselves to being taken into Forsaken. If Sixer is feeling rejected by Noob, whether it's because they actually were or because Noob had been taken, the Spectre is now manipulating Sixer to accept the same fate. And the code in the error message is what happens when Sixer does this. They say they can no longer feel their body. They are now controlled by the Spectre. Their tendrils now in the heart. out of Sixer. But the clues don't finish there. So far we've only talked about what we see, but when playing a realization, there are some audio sounds playing as well. One when you walk towards Noob, and the other when you open your heart. These sounds are strange, and there's no secrets within the audio, unless you put them through a spectrogram, in which case you find messages from both Noob and Sixer. When you go near Noob, it says, "Please, Sixer, it's me, Noob. I'm sorry, I messed up. We messed up. I shouldn't have left you. Please stop. Come back. I miss you, Sixer. Please, I can't leave you behind anymore. Am I still there for you? In the back of your mind? You are for me. Always there. Smiling. Please, Sixer, listen to me. Don't leave me behind. I love you. I miss you. Please." This changes things. So far, I thought that Noob got taken by the Spectre, and so Sixer felt abandoned and eventually succumbed to the Spectre as well. But Noob says, "Come back, and I can't leave you behind anymore." This means that Noob did actually abandon Sixer, rather than mysteriously disappearing, which therefore means we're still none the wiser about what happened between these two. The audio when Sixer opens their heart simply says, "Wait for me, Noob." These two characters clearly have a very close relationship, but something happened that drove them apart, and now they are both looking for one another, begging the other not to leave them behind, unaware that both of them were being dragged into Forsaken. But it wasn't long before a new game was created by I Must Be the Reason Why, or as we now know him, Noob, and it's called A Story. Looks like we may be getting some answers to what went on between these two Roblox users. And seeing that the description was of me and Sixer, we know this is coming from Noob's perspective. The game is, well, it's not a game. It's a long string of text giving backstory to Noob and Sixer. Noob met Sixer on a beach. When they asked what their name was, they said Guest 666. Already, that is interesting, because around the time this new game was added, there was an update to Forsaken featuring a new killer, a giant beast called Guest 666. Perhaps this is what became of Sixer once they let Spectre in. Sixer, at this point though, is completely normal, as Noob describes them as a normal guest, but rumors are associated with the name, making Sixer a bit of an outcast. Despite this reputation, Noob and Sixer become friends, and Sixer starts playing games with Noob in Roblox. It was fun to begin with until Noob noticed Sixer changed. They became more competitive and agitated when losing, constantly seeing Noob at the top of the leaderboard, and Sixer was never that good. Sixer then disappeared for a while, and when they came back, they were suddenly very good at the games. Faster, stronger, now able to catch up with Noob on the leaderboard. But Noob noticed Sixer's eyes were red and realized they were using a script or injector to help them win. This might sound strange at face value, but remember, this is inside of Roblox, and games run on scripts of code. The implication of this phrase being that Sixer was using some kind of code to be better, a cheat code of sorts. But the script did more than make Sixer stronger. Sixer physically changed, looking more like a beast, glitching leaderboards and disintegrating whatever they touched. Sixer was living up to the rumors about them, so Noob decided to confront Sixer about this, but Sixer got angry and attacked Noob. And with that, Noob said they never wanted to see Sixer again. That was the last time they saw each other. After all of this, you were given a kick-out message that reads, "Even after I met new people, a lot of things still reminded me of you. I felt wounded." Now we know what went on between these two that resulted in both of them feeling left behind. Sixer felt left behind in the leaderboards. Embarrassment over not being very good at the games took over. It was no longer about fun. So Sixer used the script to become better, but at the cost of turning into a beast. But something about that is very important. We highlighted that the script was very likely some sort of code that allowed Sixer to become stronger. But who could have granted them that power? Well, in the last episode, we learned that the Spectre is code. And given that the Spectre is talking to Sixer in a realization to open their heart and let them in, it was clearly the Spectre who gave Sixer the ability to be good at the games. But like making a deal with the devil, there was a price succumbing to the code, like we see with other Forsaken killers. Sixer is turning into a monster, and with the code slowly taking over their body, the Spectre was able to take full control, leading to Sixer unable to feel their body at all, no longer being in control. And with Sixer gone, Noob begins to grieve, wishing that they could be together again, until eventually Noob walks into a room and is taken by the Spectre as well. Both are being put through torture, one as a killer and the other as a survivor, and it was all part of the Spectre's master plan. These negative emotions are how the Spectre is able to capture people and bring them into the world of Forsaken as a survivor or a killer. It's almost like it feeds off these negative emotions. We actually got a hint of this in the first ARG where we heard about a character called Tyler feeling depressed. Suddenly, their room is warped and overcome by some entity. When someone is at their lowest point, they get dragged into Forsaken, and the Spectre managed to get Sixer and Noob in one fell swoop by corrupting Sixer so that their friendship was ruined, and with them both feeling desolate and abandoned, the Spectre took them both. Rather than just preying on depressed individuals, the Spectre is creating scenarios that will lead to people's emotions being low enough for them to take over. The Spectre is pure evil, but there may be someone who is even worse than them. The Spectre talks to us directly in the A Realization game, even using our username. They say that we fuel the Robloxians' suffering and that we are the ones adding more to the ship. The suffering these people go through happens when we play Forsaken, and each time we play, we add more victims to be put through torture. We are the ones continuing the cycle of torture. We are putting them through these games. We are the real villains of Forsaken. But don't worry, this isn't the game theory classic of stop playing this game, because there is still hope. Though this is the end of the ARG at the time of writing, there has been an update within the game Forsaken itself. An update that actually adds missions to do with the story we've been uncovering about the Spectre and the torturous games we're all going through. And it turns out continuing to play the game might be our only way of freeing these victims. In March, a new character was added to Forsaken, Jane Doe. If you're thinking that sounds a lot like one of Forsaken's killers, John Doe, you'd be onto something. Like John Doe, Jane is one of the first accounts that was created for Roblox as a testing account. But unlike other Roblox characters who are purchased in-game or unlocked by earning badges, Jane Doe is first found in the lobby's basement. Interacting with her, you learn that she was investigating the games before she was taken by the Spectre. But when she was taken, her research disappeared as well. You can help Jane by playing the game and finding notes scattered around the map. Notes about Builderman, Shedletsky, Deucecar. These are all Roblox devs. And once you gather all of her notes and present them to Jane, she reveals why she was looking into these Roblox creators. She used to be a field tester for Roblox, now trapped in here looking for a way for everyone to escape. She says John Doe is her husband and that the Spectre corrupted him into the killer we know. And by looking at the description of milestone skins, we can see some of the backstory of what happened to this happy couple. Milestone skins, by the way, are skins you unlock when leveling up one of the characters by playing Forsaken. Each one comes with a new skin and description, and for Jane Doe, they give backstory to her character. Like how Milestone 1 says, "Our lives were simple. I was ambitious. You were reserved, but we loved each other. Nothing could take that away from us." But as you get more milestone skins, the story takes its inevitable dark turn. "The day you vanished, my world came crashing down. A result of my own faults and errors corrupted you. I did what I could, chased every lead, turned every corner. My obsession with grief grew. Everywhere I turned, you weren't there. As I wallow in grief, I confine myself to this misery. How can I save you all if I can't save myself?" And each of John Doe's milestone skins show us what happened to him. He became progressively more monstrous, starting out in work attire and eventually having more monster features and being completely overtaken. This is the work of the Spectre. But by looking at the Forsaken official server, we get the motive behind the Spectre corrupting John. John was the opposite of Jane, easygoing and lacking personal drive. It made him the perfect vessel. The Spectre chose John Doe because he wouldn't put up a fight, making it easier to corrupt him and drag him down into Forsaken. And just like Noob and Sixer, the Spectre got a 2-for-1 deal, corrupting John, adding him as a killer to the games, and now, without their partner, Jane is in so much pain and despair that the Spectre was able to take her too, feeding on both of their anguish. But Jane has not given up. Jane's research into the 3 Roblox devs reveals her thoughts and suspicions that they may not have been innocent victims in all of this. In Shedletsky's notes, Jane says how she thinks they are hiding a secret, always getting quiet when hearing the name 1x1x1x1. We know that that's a killer in Forsaken and a known hacker of Roblox, so it would make sense that they were enemies. But the fact Shedletsky goes quiet resembles more fear than frustration. But then, out of nowhere, Shedletsky disappears, which we know was the Spectre. Deucecar's notes talks about how he was very powerful, but now his abilities are hindered in Forsaken, as well as how dealing with Shedletsky's disappearance was getting to him, as if he knew the real reason Shedletsky had disappeared. I'm guessing that this stress and pressure was what the Spectre used to drag Deucecar into Forsaken as well. But the most interesting note note Jane has is on Builderman, aka Roblox's founder, Dave Baszucki. The notes on Builderman are a lot more blunt, saying, "Lazy, this is all your fault." She explains that she originally started by admiring Builderman's ability to build Robloxia, but soon started to see his lack of responsibility on certain issues. Based on the extreme grief that Jane has for losing John Doe, Jane is talking about the incident that led to John becoming corrupted by the Spectre. She blames Builderman for it, who assured her that it was all under control, only to have been taken into the same torture as the rest of the devs. Wait, what did you guys think I was referencing? If Builderman and Jane Doe interact in the game, Jane is very short with Builderman. She is angry with him for not helping John, which is exactly what the Spectre wants. The Spectre is sowing discord between people in Robloxia, driving wedges between friendships, forcing people to suffer loss and grief, all so that they can feed off their pain and then put them into the Spectre's ship, a never-ending cycle of fear and torture. But Jane tells us that she is looking for a way out of here, for everyone. So while the Spectre may be telling us that playing this game continues the cycle of torture, by helping Jane, we may be able to free everyone. So keep an eye out for more new missions and ARG clues. But in the meantime, theorists, remember, it's all just a theory. A game theory! Thanks for watching. World premiere on Game Theory. One of these characters is the key to all the lore inside Roblox Forsaken.